Discovering Kazakhstan is Dennis Keen's biased view on culture and the modern life of Kazakh people. Amazing landscapes and architectural masterpieces all over Kazakhstan.
Salametizbe, здравствуйте, and hello. I'm Dennis Keen, and today on Discovering Kazakhstan, we're visiting the city of Shymkent. Shymkent has long been known as a kind of artistic capital of Kazakhstan. Here there's music and art and theater, and it's a city that's exciting because it's growing very fast. This square where I am now wasn't here a few years ago, and now there's a library and a concert hall and a theater, and it's the theater that we're going to today to catch some ballet. This theater just opened up a couple years ago, and I can see why local Shymkenters are proud of their new cultural venues. The marble here is squeaky, the chandeliers are sparkling, there's gold and velvet. It's really a nice place. We have a backstage pass as young ballerinas from the Shymkent Ballet School are here rehearsing for their year-end recital. I've never been around so many nervous girls at once. I'm really outnumbered, but it's fun. It's fun to see how it's all coming together here. It's a bit chaotic, but I can't wait to see how the final recital is going to turn out. So actually, I have a confession to make. Before I came to Kazakhstan, I had never seen ballet before. But here, ballet is everywhere. In the Soviet Union, it was one of these high arts that was promoted as essential, and you can find ballet schools and ballet theaters throughout the country. Even here in Shymkent, young girls are here learning to dance on their tiptoes from a young age. If you go into any souvenir store in Kazakhstan looking for traditional Kazakh crafts, chances are a lot of what you'll find was actually made here in Shymkent. It's really the craft capital of the country. There's one family here who live in a quiet neighborhood that have made their own gallery and workshop, the Bekovs. And they work in all sorts of spheres, in leather, in carpets, in jewelry. Today, we can get a tour of their home and see how this kind of Kazakh craft has survived through the centuries. Hello. The head of the Beyazbekov family is Bolat. He's the patriarch here. In his family, he has 7 family members who are artists, including his daughter, who is now studying in art school. And she works with oil paints and canvas, but in his family, it seems like they do everything. Bolat's son Berek, meanwhile, prefers to work in silver and leather. Silver Kazakh jewelry, with its intricate detail, has a rich history dating back hundreds of years to the age of the Silk Road. Berek is also a leather worker, responsible for the elaborately decorated horse tack that Central Asian nomads are famous for. The father, Bolat, himself actually works in several media, but I think of him as more of the mastermind behind this whole family operation. He's really a creative thinker. So, for example, where a normal family might have an attic, he's put in a giant yurt. Bolat's vision doesn't just stop with having a yurt in his own home, but actually he wants to build the largest yurt in the world. And he's made this entire model to show what he wants to do with it. So you can see it's going to have several layers, and on every floor there are different offices and rooms where artists can have workshops. He's a craftsman and he wants to do his part to promote craftsmanship in Kazakhstan, and what a way to do it. In another part of the Jibek compound, you can find Bolat's wife, Kulash, working on a traditional Kazakh loom. What she's making here is called an alasha. It's a wall covering that it comes with all sorts of different colors, and it's quite an advanced technique. She uses this wooden sword, which is a very interesting tool, to compress the threads as she goes along. And watching the way she moves with her fingers, I can't believe just what a complicated art form this is. Kazakh carpets and wall hangings used to be a fixture in any yurt, but with the wane of nomadism, they've fallen out of sight. Now, this family keeps the tradition alive with rich, hand-woven textiles. The family is also making inroads into the world of fashion using the traditional Kazakh material of felt. They have this amazing fashion line with these horned hats. Certainly makes a statement, doesn't it? Shymkent is famous for its big families, but I've never met a family like the Jibek. Almost everybody here is an artist, whether they're painters or weavers or all sorts of leather and silver craftsmen, they can do it all. So I have to say I'm so impressed with the work you guys are doing. Good job. If you ever come to Shymkent, you have to come and visit this family and see how they are continuing these ancient Kazakh artistic traditions. Thank you. Bye. When night descends in Shymkent, the city's cafes come to life with live music and dancing. I was surprised to learn that Shymkent is home to a rich jazz scene. And there's no better way to spend a warm summer night here than relaxing to some enchanting Kazakh bebop. This band's leader is a star saxophonist, 70 years young, and his band puts on a virtuoso show. I forgot to mention that the name of the band is Город Солнца, which actually means Sun City. I couldn't really think of a better name for a jazz band in Shymkent. Igor Verbitsky is the leader of the Russian drama theater here in Shymkent, an interesting man in his own right. He's also a huge fan of jazz. And what I'm curious about, Igor, if you can tell me, is how do people like you find jazz in the first place? Jazz is this American music. Not many people in Kazakhstan know about it. So how did you hear jazz in the first place?
Почему джаз прижился? Потому что
How did jazz make its way to Kazakhstan? Kazakhs have a good ear for music. They love music, and jazz is timeless music. That's why we have jazz musicians and jazz lovers here in Shymkent.
учился джаз в Чимкенте, в нашем городе.
So of course jazz is this traditionally American art form that spread throughout the world, and people play it in probably every country. And here we have it in Kazakhstan. So what I'm curious about, have Kazakhs been able to make it their own? Is there something special about Kazakh jazz?
Наверное, у нас в Чимкенте, в Казахстане.
I think that in Shymkent, in Kazakhstan, and even in the East in general, the pure American jazz is given some Eastern color.
Вдруг приобретает.
You might hear an allusion to Eastern melodies, or jazz musicians might use some Eastern musical instruments. That's why our local jazz has got an Eastern flavor.
Получается такие нотки Востока.
Jazz in Shymkent actually has a surprisingly large fan base, and I'm here with one of Sun City's biggest fans, Malim Kanat. So what I'm curious, Malim Kanat, is how does someone like you find jazz? I know not that many Kazakhs are into jazz, more interested in their traditional music and pop music, but you've become a big fan, so what is your story?
I think jazz is part of Kazakh people because our main type of music is, I think, instrumental,
Yeah.
more like dombra and other musical instruments like kobis.
Yeah.
And I think you can play with those instruments the jazz.
And you're right, no, that's a good point, because when you listen to Kazakh music, every song, even if it's instrumental, it tells some kind of story. And when we listen to jazz like this, you can also hear some different voices, some different motifs, some stories that are told. There's something similar there. This is one of those moments where you think, where am I right now? Am I playing Congo drums in Africa? Am I jamming with a jazz band in New Orleans somewhere? No, I'm in Shymkent, Kazakhstan at a jazz club. But that's what's great about the city, is it just keeps on surprising you. You can see theater, you can hear music. I hope that you can come and explore yourself sometime. Thanks for joining us today on Discovering Kazakhstan. I hope that you'll come along for another journey.